Warning: this podcast contains spoilers for upcoming projects. Listen with caution. Life can get in the way of this podcast. That's fine. It happens.
It really does.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Locked Doors, where the moment that I start recording, my dog decides that he wants to be on camera.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew this moment would come. Hi, Twig.
I am Scott Paladin. I am working
Twig.
on a horny werewolf audio drama called It Takes a Wolf.
Hello, I'm Sam Stark. I am working on editing the podcast Store 236. Yay. I'm Jack. I'm nominally working on As and West, a spin-off of Unspeakable Distance, although that didn't really happen this time.
And I'm Interiority, aka Mike, and I'm dying inside.
No.
No.
Don't do that.
But you know, when I'm not, sometimes I work on the show called Sundered.
Okay, right.
And I'm not doing great. I flew back from a business trip to Europe 2 days ago, and I'm still not recovered.
Okay.
If anyone wants to do international travel at this time of year, I would recommend not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
don't
not
do
a good
it.
idea. No,
Woof.
no, just don't. Just don't. Like, you know,
Just
loved
don't.
ones, forget about them. Like, you know, they live in another country.
You don't need to see them.
Yeah, it's the, you know, like if they choose to live outside of your national borders, then, you know, that's their fault.
Then
you
fuck
know.
them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. The internet exists. Like
Mhm.
do a Zoom call. Like get on Riverside and record like family chats. I don't know.
Meet in the
Just
metaverse.
anything other than getting into a metal tube and being
Full of other
propelled
Fuck
through
a
the
metal
air.
tube, TBH.
Yeah. So that's my advice for this week. Back to podcast things. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I'm glad it's just a regular thing and not you're not actually dying.
Yeah.
That we know of.
Normal
Any
now.
more than all of us are just slowly dying, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
the
Inexorably
dying is
marching towards
continuing.
our graves.
Our demises.
Okay, so I'm assuming that means that progress on Sundered has been light.
I mean, there is stuff to talk about if
Okay.
you would like me to, because I don't tend to talk
Please.
first, Scott. So, like, if you want to really upend the format that
Let's
we've
go
established,
reverse order.
Yeah, we're going
Yeah.
we're going snake order right now, where we go one way and then
Wow,
back the
okay.
other.
Okay,
Hell yeah.
Like just throw all your expectations out the window, listeners.
Okay.
It's upside down world. Yeah, I've done a fair bit on Sundered actually.
Good.
I've spent a lot of time like doing some polishing of existing scripts, especially my first one.
Mhm.
In preparation for kind of, you know, eventual kind of like pilot episode, but
Mhm.
also because I've been doing table reads.
Yay!
I've had one successful one so far, which is very lovely, and everyone was very nice. It was a cold one. Everyone got random rolls, so that
Nice.
was interesting and kind of enlightening, and highlighted a couple of things within the script that I needed to change, not just the typos and, you know, places where I just imagined putting words in rather than actually typing them out, which, you know, is the way
Classic.
of things. But, you know, there's a couple of things that didn't land, a couple of things that went on for a bit too long. So it is nothing kind of like major, but it has allowed me to kind of get the spanner and just kind of like, you know, crank the bolts a little bit and just kind of make it a bit of a tighter ship. The next table read I'm doing is going to be a bit more, not directed, but, you know, like everyone's going to get kind of like rolls ahead of time and a chance to read ahead. So I'm hoping that will be a slightly different experience, but if not, it will just be a fun hang with friends,
Awesome.
including two of the people who are on this podcast. Hopefully,
Yay.
if you're able to, unless life gets in the way, which, you know, honestly, it kind of does all the time. So yes.
I fully
That's why
plan
I'm
on
not the two people. I'm so sad.
Yeah. The other piece of news I've got is that unfortunately it doesn't look like the pilot is happening anytime soon. We are not doing Tribeca for next year, which is a shame. And various things within certain podcast industries and businesses have happened. There's been some reorganization, and we basically got to wait until the dust settles.
That makes
before
sense.
we can actually look and kind of see what funds and opportunities are available to do what things. So it may very well be that, at least for the time being, it's back to trying to script out the entire thing, which isn't a bad thing, honestly. You know, like it's been a good kind of like burst of kind of enthusiasm and focus to try and get these first few pieces a lot more kind of like polished and ready,
Mhm.
and I feel more confident for it.
That's great.
Yeah, none of it wasted effort. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like it's all been helpful stuff to do
Well,
anyways.
and there's definitely something to be said for like the fact that you've had this burst of effort and creativity, and you did the table reads probably in a way that you wouldn't have done before, or at a time that you wouldn't have done before. So I'm glad that's, even though I would love to hear this thing sooner, I'm glad that you're going to have an opportunity to let it bake, and that you're also getting something out of the burst in the meantime. That's great. Okay, we're going in reverse order. So then I guess that's Jack. Jack, have you done anything on As in West?
No, what I did do was table a bunch of art markets this month.
Mhm.
So most of my time and effort was going toward preparing for that. And then in the more recent week or so, recovering from having done that. I think I've been averaging like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night for like, I don't know, probably 2 months at this point. So
yeah,
I'm like still quite tired.
Yeah.
Trying to like catch up on sleep and catch up on my like housework and things like that. So no, I've been like very, very behind on every other thing in my life, basically. So no report from me, unfortunately. But we'll get back on the horse. Just need to like recover a little bit.
This is the time of year when like what's the word? Placeholder updates is pretty normal.
Yeah, it's just like I'm alive. I'm just sort of zombie shuffling through life at the moment. But we'll get back.
This time last year, I think we took an entire month off of updates. We just like
yeah.
No, never mind.
We're like, we're not going to have them. This is just not happening.
Sam, how did you do on? I think you were saying you might have a break over the holiday.
Yes.
Whoa, a break! Holy shit!
I took full. Wow, what's the word? Hey, can you tell that I am a person with migraines?
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, I took full advantage of the break that I was given by Mel, and I appreciate it so much, because without getting too like into it, I'm having a medication problem, and it's like giving me depression. So
bummer.
It's really rough. So it's like, how much depression do you want, and how bad do you want your migraines to be? So like, figure out the scales that you would like.
That's a terrible calculus problem.
Yeah, and so I am sort of in this weird middle stage of like, yay, the migraines are so much better. I still have brain fog though, and I have depression. So it's like, and I don't normally I don't have depression. Like I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged, and I understand that, to not have actual depression. And so having like fake depression brought on by medication, I don't have any ways to cope with. Thank you. I have no coping mechanisms. Same with like anxiety stuff. I don't have any way to cope with that, because I don't actually have any of that. So when it happens because of something else, I'm like, what do I do? I'm just gonna go to bed, and then I just like sleep all day, and I can't do that because I have kids. So I've just been taking it easy. And I have not really been working on anything. I haven't been doing any of my editing jobs. I was lucky enough to not really have anything scheduled. I have pushed a lot of my narration stuff out. I was sick for a little while. I didn't really do anything. I went Christmas shopping, and that was it. So.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, listeners, this is like a really genuine look at what this time of year looks like for creative people in general. Like, there's a lot of like, hey, my health isn't great. I have these other commitments to my family, or like other social obligations and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this time of year is always like you're running yourself into the ground doing everything but your creative projects, and then you're like, where do I fit in these creative projects? And sometimes the answer is you take a break for like a month, and that's okay.
That's the purpose of Behind the Locked Doors is an unvarnished look at like how we're doing and like all these things. So that is, look at us, and then don't feel alone when you feel this way.
We are all out here.
We're all just keeping our heads above water somehow, barely. On that note, I think my goals were, I was going to have almost everything recorded, which I think is true. Everything is recorded except for a couple of little pickups, and one person who hasn't sent me their files. I will go bug him later. So I still I've got some invoicing stuff to deal with. Not everybody's got me those back. So, but like the vast majority, all of the recording except for like the one person who hasn't sent me stuff and the one pickup I need, is done. I've got about more than half of episode 1 rough cut,
Nice.
very rough cut. And I've got all of my audio sorted into like the various places that it needs to be, so that I should be able to find what I need later. But I did not make as much progress as I was hoping to. I was hoping to have more edited than I've done, because we're getting into that time where, like it's the 15th of December now. We're probably not recording an update in 2 weeks, because that'll be the week between Christmas and New Year's, and I can't expect that any of us will be making huge leaps and strides at that point.
Yeah.
So we'll probably not hear back from us until, talking about life getting in the way, probably won't hear from us until January. So maybe so like just stuff's getting in the way, stuff going slower than I expect. Yeah, this time of year is not great for just everything. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, but Scott, by the next time we record, you and I will probably have met in person finally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the plan.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I'm going to be driving home for the holidays, and I'm going to pass. Like when coming up here, I was like, "Hey, we're like a couple of hours from where Jack exists." But we were like, probably not going to do that moving truck, but on the way back,
the moving truck is like a whole nother.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing.
Situation.
So we'll probably have met by then. Yeah, we'll do updates and talk about the future later. So the answer is that I think I barely squeaked over what I had set out to do, but did not get anything extra done. But that's still progress, which is good.
Progress is progress, and barely squeaking through the actual goal that you set is still like hitting the goal that you actually set.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah.
Take and run.
I just was hoping to have more done. Because that would be nice. It probably pushes back phase 2 a little bit, which is probably not the end of the world. We'll talk about that later. I was racking my brain trying to think of a straight up topic, but the broadest thing I can think of is I think we've probably talked about this before, but I want to revisit like to-do lists and task tracking. If y'all have systems that work for you, and especially if you've got systems that seem to be broadly applicable to various types of projects, or maybe even meta tracking, where you're like, I am tracking this other to-do list on this bigger to-do list that like the parent, like, does any of that, any of y'all have input for me on that one? Because I am really thinking about it for the next couple of months.
I mean, I've got some horrifying input.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Scare me.
I just keep everything in my head.
Yeah, that's what I
obsess about.
Oh my God,
at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't write lists. I don't use spreadsheets.
Oh my God.
It's just all in there.
I'm shouting in dismay, but also I write everything down by hand, so I'm not that much better. But at least I have
at least you're putting it down.
At least it's somewhere besides only my brain, which I don't trust only my brain.
Yeah. I need to change that.
Yeah.
Well, to sort that out. It can't just all be in here. But at the moment, that's where it lives.
That's what I'm feeling right now, which is that most of the time when I'm working on stuff, I can just keep everything in my head and it works, and that's fine. On the few times when I have had something too big to keep entirely in my head, like just a simple like Excel based check-off spreadsheet with a note that says what the current status is, just basically a list, but on a grid, was sufficient. And as I'm going through phase 1, which is just 2 episodes, and how many people? 7 or 8 people? No, wait, with ensemble, more like a dozen people total to work with. I can feel that I am just barely able to keep ahead of everything that I like.
You're at the limit of your brain capacity for what you can hold in your head.
But the thing that keeps me back from being able to just like lay out an organized system is that so many different aspects of a project like this require different tracking. So like a task list for handling personnel, probably HR stuff, right? Where it's like, I need to get a contract from this person. I need a contract to this person, and then to track when they send it back, I need to get invoice information sent to them so they can invoice me, and then I have to track that invoice and have I paid it, and do I need to do it via PayPal or direct deposit or whatever? Well, all of those things. That's a pretty simple like check off system, but like that doesn't work in my experience for things like total episode production. Like, what stage of the production pipeline is episode 1 in right now? That happens. I know in my head that's rough cut. but like that's more like a Trello board or something like that. And so like I would love a system that could track everything all together, but that it needs to be very flexible to do different kinds of tracking in that way. Well, that's what I feel like anyway. Maybe I just have to just bite the bullet and do everything as giant fucking fuck off tasks list where you click everything off.
Well, because you kind of want like progress bars for
Yeah.
some things, and then other things can just be a check, I've done it or I haven't done it.
Yeah.
Or I need to put in information that will remind me what I'm doing when I go to do it.
Mhm.
But like when I am making, when I take like an illustration job and I know I have like, 10 pieces I need to finish by this date and they need to be in like all like the finished stage of completion by whatever time, I'm like always breaking that down more granularly into piece number 1. Do I have my lines done? Do I have my colors done? Do I have my values blocked in? Do I have my textures overlaid? Do I have like whatever text needs to be added like in the text editor, this and that and the other? So like, do I have it exported in the correct format? And like, there's all these extra little check boxes. And some of those, I wish there was a way to do like a percentage bar, but I don't know what the percentage is because it's art. And it's like, I don't know when it's done until I've done it.
Yeah.
But I think for audio editing, it's probably a little more clear cut. Like you can tell you're 80% of the way through rough cutting an episode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really could be something like a bar that you just fill in like segments until it's full.
Yeah. And depending on the episode format, you could break things down into discrete chunks and use those as checkoff tasks rather than it being like a 1 to 100%, 0 to 100% progress bar. It could be like scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. If you're people who are, if they happen to use scenes, like if you're a freak, a weirdo like that who happens to break things out and not just do one single run through an entire episode that's 20, 30 minutes long or whatever.
Well, okay, so Scott, here's something I've noticed. Looking at your scripts, like you don't have scene breaks, but what you do have is like narrative connective tissue that gets us from like one kind of vignette moment into another. And the connective tissues are a lot of the time what we're going, wait, did we record this? Like, did we put this somewhere? Where is it? Because it's connective tissue and not like the scene proper, so to speak. So yeah, it would be good for you particularly to have like a way to track those little interstitial sections also somehow.
So maybe those are maybe that's the answer, is to just not arbitrarily, but break the script into scenes or chunks or segments, whatever you want to call
make
them.
Section marks in it somewhere, just so that you have everything within a section from one mark to the next, and that there's not like stuff that you're missing because it wasn't like scene proper, so to speak.
It's probably that is probably a way to do it. Like I don't know where I'm going. My brain's my talk about brain fog. Like I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of
talk about it, Sam.
I'm kind of a mad be organized and lists and things.
Yes, please.
So here we go. No, I'm just kidding.
Cracking their knuckles right now.
So this does not work for everyone, but I'll tell you what I do. Along the way, I've sort of tried a lot of different things, and I have discovered along the way that an actual to-do list where you like check off things, or like one of those like I have a Excel spreadsheet thing that has all the percentages and all the task bars, and you're 72% of the way through, blah 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 blah. When you get to that level of trying to sort your stuff and keep track of your stuff, that in and of itself becomes like a task that you will start to put off and try to push away, and it becomes just so complicated that it's like you don't want to deal with it, you just want to do the thing. So I started as simple as I possibly could, and I used Google Calendar, and I just, how you can layer in Google Calendar?
Okay.
So you can make you can make different calendars.
That's what I was thinking you're talking about. Yeah.
So I have a calendar that's like all of my family home stuff, and then I have a calendar that is my narration stuff, and then I have a calendar that's my Store 236 stuff, and I have a calendar that's my Maltopia stuff. Everything is color coded, and so if I want to see just one thing, I turn off everything else and just look at that one thing. And then if I need like a broad idea of like what the month is going to look like, I'll turn everything on, and it's color coded so I know like in chunks like where things are. So that's like a overview. That's like a top down look at things.
And when you say you're putting when you say you're putting things on your calendar, are you doing due dates or
due
like,
due dates. That's the most important thing.
The other option would be to block out, I am going to be editing at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried the blocking out. I tried to do color coding, like this is the 2 weeks that I'm going to record this audiobook, and this is the 2 days that I'm doing Store 236, whatever. And that actually, it just makes the calendar so full.
You can't even see what's going on.
So your brain is just like, oh my God, there's so much to do. But if you just have little dots, just letting you know when things are due, then you have a way better idea of like, how much time you're going to have, blah, blah, blah.
What to prioritize.
Exactly. So the next thing that I started doing was I love the alarms. The alarms are wonderful if you set them really specifically, because it can get really overwhelming. If you just have the calendar just give you a little notification, just like hey, this is due in a week. And you obviously have to set it for what you think is the most important. Like for Store 236, I just need a couple days. Like 2 days before, it'll be like, you better start thinking about Store 236 editing. And then I'm like, okay, I got to start getting my brain ready for that. When it's a narration project, a whole week before, because I got to do prep and stuff like that. So it's almost like I can set it and forget it, because my calendars will kind of help me remember when I need to start doing stuff. The other really important thing that I started doing was I actually set apart like an hour at the beginning of every single week to like get my thoughts in order about what's due that week. It's like Monday morning or Sunday night is actually really good too. And it's like, sit down, look at the calendar, maybe write it on, we have a chalkboard in the house. Like there's a lot of different places that I can put specifically what's happening that week. Because if there's like doctor's appointments, if there's dentist appointments on top of other things I have to do, it's nice to just have a list of like, these are the things that are happening this week. And then, because I'm a psychopath, I have my Google Calendar stuff, I have my weekly stuff, and then because I don't know, it just helps my brain. If I physically write out stuff in the morning for that day, sometimes that, because just having things like ahead of time. Like, these are the things I have to do this week. These are the things I'm doing today. So I have 3 different things. I have the calendar, and then I have either the chalkboard, or sometimes it's an Excel spreadsheet that I'll just keep open on one of my screens, and then I write it the day of, if it's a day where a lot of things are happening. But that's what I do.
That honestly doesn't sound too psychopathic to me. That sounds like you're just you
I think
type A personality.
I think it's what's psychopathic about it is how many things I do and how many things I write down.
Them.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
Yes.
That's really good. That there's some really good ideas in there. I'm gonna have to. I know that when I'm like my current plan is. Because one thing that I have found useful in sort of the macro scale, not specifically about scheduling, but just about any kind of thing in life, is that if you know you've got a problem, sometimes it's not the smartest thing to just immediately try to fix it, is to live with the manageable version of it for a minute and see what it is that you're looking to answer. And that's what I'm doing with phase 1, which is like, I'm keeping this all in my head. I know that I will not be able to do this more, but keeping it in mind that, okay, what am I looking for tracking wise? What do I need to keep track of? What do I need to be paying attention to? What's stuff that will happen whether I pay attention to it or not? That kind of stuff. Having that data gathering period is useful in terms of solving problems like this, where you like spend some time going, okay, here's what the shape of the problem actually looks like.
And what do I actually wish the solution was? And
here's what my goals are. Otherwise, you just start trying to do stuff, and then whether or not it worked, you don't have a goal set. You don't have like a success criteria in mind where you say, I am looking to solve this particular problem. If I can make sure that this happens, that's my success criteria. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what the shape of that looks like. So there's a real advantage to like just sort of living with the problem for a minute, which is where I'm at, and I'm just now sort of trying to figure out what the shape of the solution looks like. Calendars is a really good idea. I actually in a
Bye, Twig.
Bye, Twig.
Bye, Twig.
When he stands up on all four legs, just like standing on my
Yeah.
lap, that's less comfortable. So it's like, you have to get off now.
Sharp little fellow.
He'll be back in a second, I can tell. Where was I? I don't know. I got completely slipped.
Calendars are good.
Calendars are good. One thing that I gives me a huge amount of relief about, like, am I remembering the thing or not, is if you have a calendar invite for like a scheduled thing or whatever, and you know that Google's going to remind you and you know it's there, and like being able to just like offload that from your brain is good. Definitely. I can attest to, even when it's just the scheduling stuff, where once it's on the calendar, I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm remembering or not, because 24 hours before it happens, or an hour before it happens, Google will be like, "Hey, asshole, you've got a meeting with somebody."
Yep. Hey, asshole. Yep.
In the meantime, my brain doesn't have to spend any time tracking that. And more importantly, part of my brain that has been trained by an entire lifetime of having ADHD means that I don't have anxiety about whether I'll forget it.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of brain power you will expend worrying about the thing, about you letting itself down, is way more than actually just keeping track of it. Like, it's your brain being like, oh, am I going to forget this? 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 Am I going to miss it? I'm going to be late. Am I going to be early? Am I going to be like all this stuff?
Yeah.
But if it's just like, shove it into the thing and know that it will come back to you later. The ability for Google Calendar to inject itself into your life by giving you a phone notification or desktop notification or whatever is very useful. The worst thing not the worst thing in the world, but one of the ways in which something like this can fall down, because I've had it fall down in the past, is you make yourself a nice to-do list, you write everything out, you get all prepped to go, and then you never look at it again. And then it's like that. You either have to make yourself, or it has to be able to inject itself back into your life and say like, hey, pay attention to me, or you have to be the one going back and checking it and redoing it. Because that cycle of putting the thing on there, now I don't have to worry about it, but I know I will check it later, is the important part of making that whole process work. So thinking about things that can shove themselves in front of my attention is actually a really good idea. The calendar is a way to do that. I know that there are to-do apps and stuff you can get on your phone. The one complication for me on that one is I have been desperately trying to reduce my phone time, my mobile device time that I have. Everybody thinks I'm a weirdo. I put it like, I did like the focus mode, block all of the apps thing, and like I put my phone in grayscale mode and stuff. And every time I like pull the phone out to like take a picture, everybody's like, why is your phone like an old timey movie? Why isn't it? But so that means if I'm going to have this thing inject itself into my life, it needs some other way to get my attention, probably desktop notifications. I was joking about how Nextcloud was sending me a desktop notification anytime anybody responded to various forms, like the audition forms. But obviously the fact that I was paying attention to that means that Nextcloud has
it was working.
That thing has the ability to grab me by the scruff of the neck and make me pay attention to it. So I should definitely look in that direction for options as well, because it has the ability to do that both on the desktop and in your on your phone and iPads and all that stuff. So that's something to be that is worth paying attention to. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
The apps, like the to-do list apps or whatever, I have never found one that isn't super fucking annoying, because it's like, let's schedule blah blah blah. Let's make sure that everything is, and then it'll be set up in a way that your brain is like, no, I just need a list, and then I just need to like be able to tick it off when I've done it, and it's always way too complicated. Like there's nothing that's simple that is also an app that will remind you things.
There's a fantastic.
Yeah, I almost just wish my notes app on my phone could be set up to send me a reminder.
Yeah. There's a fantastic podcast called Cortex, which was run by CGP Grey and a guy who runs a podcast network. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. And it's entirely about like workflow optimizations, and they spend an inordinate amount of time talking about to-do list apps because they're both obsessed with trying to find the one that will work. And after like years of trying to find the best to-do list app, they both of these hosts came to the conclusion that like there is no one good one. They're all
they all suck.
They all suck in various ways, but you need to have a really wide variety of them because there are ones that are going to work for certain people, but what will work for one person won't necessarily work for the next one. So you just need like a scattershot approach where they all work differently.
Yeah. We talk so much on this podcast about the different ways that we work, the different ways that we write, the different ways that we create, and it's like our brains all work so differently. And so, of course, the way that we schedule and the way that we remember to do things or not remember to do things is going to be extremely different. So no one way to do a to-do list is going to work for like all four of us.
Well, and in something like task tracking, like there are lots of ways, like we all write differently, but I think all four of us could open Fade In or any number of like Arc Studio Pro or whatever, and probably write a script in it. Like that doesn't need to be hugely variable. But for something like task tracking and like organization of a project, that is so just trying to export part of your actual brain into either pen and paper or digital format that like, it's probably got to be very variable. That is important. And keeping aware, like you were talking about, Sam, of making sure that whatever organizational process is created doesn't become itself another part of another thing that you didn't have to keep track of. Is certainly important because at various times, especially in my day job, I have had to create like standard operating procedures for there was a thing where we were upgrading systems as part of one of my previous jobs, and it was one of those things where like it took 3 hours when I started, and by the time I was done, we'd gotten the actual downtime down to about like 20 minutes, and with a lower error rate, which was great. But the entire process of that was about reducing friction to making sure that everything got done. It's about like you have to make sure that things are if somebody needs something to complete a task, that item is right there, either digitally or physically, right? So that it becomes very easy to get it, or it becomes very impossible to go forward without it. It's one of those things like put your PPE gear right next to the power tools, right? So that every time that you're going to use a table saw, you put your safety glasses on because they're right there. Or that they're carried on your person or something like that, where it's becomes so just reducing all of those little friction points, making it easier and easier to do the correct, I'm using air quotes, but like to do the things the way that are there need to be done in order to be completed. And if that means that task tracking in organization has to be as frictionless as possible, otherwise it just makes the whole process worse, right? Like if as I was going through rough editing a scene or an entire episode, if every time I finished every single line, I had to go over to a checklist and check, okay, well, line 21 is done. Okay, now I'm going to edit. And then line 22 is now done. Like, obviously that is too much friction. Anybody can kind of look at that version of it and go, well, it would be lovely granular information, but like you are increasing the amount of work that needs to be done just to get it finished, right? So finding that optimal balance and finding ways to make it part of the creative process as well, I guess, is maybe the way, like make it integrate it into the whole thing, right? To make it easier to go back to the going to calendar stuff. One of the reasons I really, really like an app called Calendly, at least in the free version, it's limited only to one-on-one meetings, but somebody could just put themselves on my calendar using it. And the ability for me to be like, here's a link with all of my availability on it, just put yourself on it. And it does that. It does all of the time zone translation, and it just like puts them on my calendar. And then I don't even have to, I didn't have to do anything. It's just super easy. But what that represents to me is a system I know is going to be reliable and that has just essentially no friction for me, right? Like I can send somebody one thing. They have to do a very small amount of effort on their end, which is picking something off a list. And then I know that it's done. I know that's completed. I know that meeting is going to happen and that I don't have to keep track of it or like go back and send 4 or 5 emails back and forth trying to reschedule, stuff like that. So those are the kinds of optimizations that really can be successful, is when it's got the least amount of friction for as many parties as possible. It's the same way with as a broader thing, when you're trying to get people as a, at this point, I'm kind of a boss to a dozen people, right? Most of them who have already finished their stuff. I'm done right now. I'm not going to have performance reviews with anybody, but I'm trying to get people to do stuff. Making sure that those that what I need them to do is as easy as possible is the same sort of philosophy. Like I went through the trouble of pre-generating all of the invoices for my actors. I obviously they can send me their own if they want, but I was like, here is a template. I can just plug everybody's stuff into it and then fire off these PDFs. And that at least removes a big chunk of the work that they have to do. So they now have the option of saying, oh, yeah, address is correct. The amount looks good. Sign it, send it back. And the point of, I know that part of that was me being nice because I hated doing that when I was working for other people. I don't like generating invoices. That sucks. But also because I know that if I send somebody a thing that is 80% filled out and all they have to do is check it over, make sure, correct anything that's wrong and then sign it and send it back. I know that means they're 80% more likely to get it done in time so that I can then, like the next part of it can be done. So, in that sense, I just need to treat myself like be like, okay, how can I always use the framing of like, that's future Scott's problem or whatever, but also like, how can I be nice to future Scott? How can I set up a thing that I'll be happy is there, in the future?
You actually don't want to create problems for your future self. You want to pre-solve your future self's problems.
Well, having thinking about it as somebody like both, I want to make my future life easy, but that's future Scott's problem usually means I know myself enough to know I won't care that this was already done or will be hard to find or whatever. I know that like whatever I'm declaring to be future Scott's problem, if I'm being flippant about it, it's because I know when I come around to it, I won't mind that doesn't have a sync point or that doesn't have, or that we're just rolled all the way through with 4 hours of recording without starting and stopping. Which is my typical way of doing synchronous recordings. I just record everything in bulk because I know that with the workflow that I have in the future, that's not usually a problem. Which is just knowing where those friction points are, right? Which is good. So thinking of myself as doing the same things for myself that I do for my employees, fucking the voice actors, the people I work with.
You're independent contractors.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, 1099 independent contractors. Who if you make more than a certain amount, then I have to create tax forms for you. But if we do stuff in if we pay it in fiscal year 2025, it's under that limit. I don't have to generate that form. So let's do it in 2025.
Love that. I love it.
Okay. I think that was a pretty good topic. Let's do our goal setting. Let's call it now, and let's say that that we're not going to meet in the rest of December. So that will make.
I'm fine with that.
I think that's just a reasonable goal.
Okay.
Then we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to be recording again on the 5th. So that gives us the framework of 2 weeks of holiday time, which is like
perfect.
An hour and a half regular time.
Literally.
Try to get together our goals. Okay, so just to keep things weird, Mike, do you want to set to your 3-week goal?
Sure, yeah. My goal is to create more problems for Future Mike because Future Mike is likely a unfeeling, heartless, evil cyborg. So the more problems I can create for Future Mike, the better the chances for the rest of humanity to survive. So I feel
got 2
like
weeks to replace myself with an evil cyborg like doppelganger myself.
Yeah, I feel like if I can kind of like hinder him as much as possible, then I'm actually doing the human race a service. So that's what I'm going to be concentrating on.
Told you,
fantastic.
But also I'm going to try and spend a chunk of my Christmas sat down writing in front of a fire if I can. Maybe sipping some sort of seasonal drink.
Hell yeah.
And also trying to stop the thoughts of creating a increasingly horny Regency audio drama as well.
Wait, hold on. Whoa.
No more details about that.
No,
Mike!
we gotta live with the anticipation now.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Jack, how?
Hi. Okay, so by the time we meet next, I would love to have bare minimum scheduled somewhere in there, like a half an hour to talk to you, Sam, about some like B-plot stuff that I feel like I need to nail down before I finish the episode I'm currently working on. So if we can figure out like even 20 minutes or half an hour to like get on the phone and have a little discussion between now and then, I'll consider that good progress.
Yay.
Okay, Sam.
Before we meet next, I'm gonna have to schedule a half an hour to an hour with Jack to talk about B
Sorry.
plots that they might need to go over. And other than that, I'm going to try to keep on top of Store 236 editing because I tend to not do anything for a week because I'm doing other things, and then I only have a week to do every episode. I need to stop doing that.
I need to stop doing
I need to
that.
stop doing that, especially if I need like somebody to like re-record a line or something. I'll be like, hey,
Yeah,
I
if
need
you need
this
to
by
pick up or
tomorrow
something.
for real because
Like,
the episode's
genuinely
going
for
live
real.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Oh my god.
need to not do that. So I'm gonna try to get ahead of that and maybe have episodes done a week before I even need to like show anybody. Like I'll just hand Mel like a mostly done episode, which would be awesome. And then I have a book to record and finish. So
And yeah, so before 2026, I will have both episodes rough cut.
Yay.
I feel reasonably confident about that. I might have to edit on my vacation, but that's okay. That gives me an excuse to like, when the family gets a bit much, you can just be like, hey, I have got to go disappear into a room for 2 hours. Is that okay? And then just be like, I have to do it. I definitely have to do it. I don't just need to get away from all of you people. I do love my family, but so yeah, I will get.
It's really like that though.
Yeah, I will get all of that done. I should have all of my. I mean, I should have all of the audio pulled in at that point. I still need to get the pickups and some other stuff, and I should have everybody paid by then too. Is provided they get me the audio files, I will again go yell at the one person who hasn't and be like,
"Hello."
Yeah. I think people on this podcast probably know who that is, or can make a reasonable guess.
Yeah, Jack.
I have a reasonable guess. It's not me. I promise it's not me.
Jack has sent me their invoice.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah, you did.
I did. I sent.
Yeah. I got your address.
I fixed my address and I sent it back.
Yeah. So I will get all of that done, and hopefully I will have started on the sound design. That may be a little bit slower because I have no idea what this universe sounds like yet. That'll have to be found out in the thing. But yeah, so rough cuts will be done. I think that's a pretty reasonable goal. So that's what we'll declare.
That's so reasonable.
And we will. Oh, and my other thing is that I will not take 2 weeks to edit this episode of Behind the Locked Doors. I will get this out today or tomorrow or something like that. Because I previously had been doing them like the day of, and then like it kind of slipped slowly over time. And I put up like the one from 2 weeks ago. I put that up on like Saturday. So we'll like get this one out quickly. That's my other big goal.
Hell yeah.
excellent.
All right. In that case, we will catch I will catch y'all in a couple of weeks, and we'll catch the audience sometime in the new year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Oh my god. Twig.
Because we live in a capitalist hellscape, I am required to remind you that if you'd like to support this podcast, you can head to patreon.com/cursed-knowledge. Other than that, just head over to our website for information and stuff, www.library.horse, or, you can find us on the socials or whatever. I don't know. Just Google it. You'll find it. It's good. Bye.